Talk shows are supposed to be controlled. The host has questions, the guest has stories, and everyone knows when to smile. But every once in a while, something goes completely wrong. A celebrity says something unexpected, a host bursts out laughing, or a simple interview turns into absolute chaos. Some moments lasted only a few seconds, yet fans still talk about them years later. From uncontrollable laughter to unbelievable reactions, these are some of the funniest talk show moments ever caught on camera. Talk shows are built around conversation. A host asks a question, a celebrity gives an answer, and the audience waits for the next joke or story. But sometimes, that simple formula breaks down completely. A guest says something nobody expected, a host makes a mistake, or one tiny joke sends the entire studio into chaos. And when that happens, the planned interview suddenly becomes the best part of the show. One reason these moments are so funny is that talk show hosts are usually experts at controlling a conversation. They know how to keep things moving when to change subjects and how to recover when something awkward happens. But even the best hosts cannot prepare for everything. A celebrity might misunderstand a question and give an answer that makes absolutely no sense. Another guest might interrupt at exactly the wrong moment. Sometimes a story becomes so funny that the person telling it cannot even finish. And then there are those rare moments when everyone in the studio realizes that the interview has completely gone off script. The audience starts laughing. The host tries to continue. The celebrity tries to explain. But somehow, every attempt to regain control only makes the situation funnier. That is what makes talk show comedy different from a normal scripted performance. The funniest moments often come from reactions rather than jokes. A celebrity's facial expression can be enough. A confused look, a sudden laugh, a shocked reaction to something the host just said. These tiny moments can completely change the atmosphere. Sometimes, the guest even turns the tables on the host. Instead of answering the question, they deliver an unexpected comeback that leaves the host speechless. The audience immediately reacts, and suddenly the guest has taken control of the interview. Other times, the host is the one who makes a mistake. A name gets mixed up. A story goes in the wrong direction. A joke fails. Or something happens behind the scenes that the audience was never supposed to see. But instead of ruining the interview, the mistake becomes the funniest part. And that is the magic of a great talk show. You never really know what is going to happen next. A celebrity can walk onto the set expecting a normal conversation and leave behind a moment that gets replayed for years. But some of the funniest moments are not caused by mistakes at all. Sometimes, celebrities simply react in ways that nobody, not even a host, could have predicted. Sometimes the funniest part of a talk show interview is not what the celebrity says. It is a reaction on their face when something completely unexpected happens. A host may ask an ordinary question, expecting an ordinary answer, but then the guest suddenly looks shocked, bursts out laughing, or turns to the audience as if silently asking, "Did that really just happen?" Those reactions are impossible to plan, and because viewers can see them happen in real time, they often become more memorable than the original conversation. One classic source of comedy is the unexpected story. A celebrity begins telling a normal behind-the-scenes story, but halfway through, the details become so ridiculous that even a host cannot believe what they are hearing. The audience starts laughing. The host asks for more details. The celebrity keeps going. And suddenly, what was supposed to be a 2-minute answer becomes the highlight of the entire interview. Sometimes the opposite happens. The host tells a story about the celebrity, and the guest realizes that something embarrassing is about to be revealed. That moment of realization can be priceless. You can almost see the celebrity thinking, "Please don't tell this story." But the host continues. The audience gets louder, and the celebrity has no choice but to sit there and accept what is coming. Another reason these reactions are so entertaining is the relationship between the host and the guest. Some talk show hosts develop a playful rhythm with their regular guests. They know exactly how to tease each other, when to push a joke, and when to pretend they are completely innocent. That creates moments where a simple question becomes a setup for something much bigger. The guest may expect a serious interview, only to discover that the host has prepared an embarrassing surprise. Maybe an old photograph appears on the screen. Maybe a strange clip from the celebrity's past suddenly plays. Or perhaps another person connected to the story walks onto the stage. The celebrity's reaction says everything. There is surprise, there is disbelief, and sometimes there is immediate laughter. These moments work because audiences love seeing famous people caught off guard. Celebrities spend much of their lives in carefully planned situations. Their interviews, appearances, and public events are often organized down to the smallest detail. But a great talk show can break through that polished image. For a few seconds, the celebrity forgets about the cameras. They react naturally, and that is when the real comedy begins. The best reactions are often the ones that cannot be explained with words. A celebrity covering their face, a host falling backward in laughter, a guest staring at the camera in disbelief, the audience completely losing control. And sometimes, one reaction becomes so funny that it creates another problem. Nobody can stop laughing. Not the celebrity, not the host, not even the audience. And when that happens, the entire interview can turn into one enormous laughing fit that nobody knows how to stop. There's one moment every talk show host secretly fears. The moment when they start laughing and simply cannot stop. At first, it seems harmless. A guest makes a funny comment. The audience laughs. The host smiles and tries to move on, but then the guest adds another joke. The host laughs again. The audience gets louder, and suddenly, the interview has completely fallen apart. The funniest laughing fits are rarely caused by one huge joke. Usually, they begin with something incredibly small. A strange word, a funny pronunciation, a ridiculous story. Sometimes, it is nothing more than the way someone reacts to a simple question. But once the laughter starts, logic disappears. The host may try to continue reading the next question, only to start laughing halfway through it. The celebrity tries to answer, but their voice breaks. The audience begins laughing at the people laughing. Now, there are layers of laughter, and nobody can recover. This is especially common when two celebrities already have great chemistry. Instead of giving short, polished answers, they start joking with each other. One person remembers an embarrassing story, the other adds a detail, and suddenly the entire conversation becomes an inside joke that even the audience wants to join. The host may try to bring things back under control. Okay, let's move on. But that sentence itself can become funny. The audience laughs again, the guest laughs harder, and the host realizes there is no chance of returning to the original interview. That kind of chaos is what makes talk shows so entertaining. Unlike a scripted comedy scene, nobody knows exactly when the laughter will end. The performers are not supposed to break character, but the audience can see that they are genuinely struggling. And sometimes the celebrity's attempt to stay serious becomes funnier than the original joke. They take a deep breath. They look down. They cover their face. They try to answer. Then they hear one more comment and completely lose it again. These moments also reveal something viewers rarely get to see. Celebrities being completely relaxed. Away from movie sets, red carpets, and formal interviews, they can laugh at silly things just like anyone else. That is why these clips remain popular long after the original shows have ended. People are not necessarily watching because they want to hear an important interview. They are watching because they want to see a famous person lose control and laugh like a regular human being. And sometimes, the laughter becomes even more powerful when the conversation suddenly turns awkward. Because there is another kind of talk show comedy that audiences absolutely love. A host asks a question that goes too far. The celebrity fires back. And suddenly, everyone in the studio is waiting to see what happens next. Talk show interviews can become hilarious when a host asks a question that catches a celebrity completely off guard. Sometimes the question is embarrassing. Sometimes it is too personal. And sometimes the celebrity simply decides to turn the question back on the host. That is when the interview can become comedy gold. The best comeback does not always come from a prepared joke. Often, it happens because the celebrity reacts instantly. The host asks something unexpected. There's a brief pause, and then the guest delivers an answer that nobody in the studio saw coming. The audience erupts. The host laughs. And suddenly, the celebrity has completely changed the direction of the conversation. This is especially funny when the host believes they have the perfect question ready. They may expect the celebrity to become embarrassed, or give a predictable answer. Instead, the guest flips the situation. Sometimes they tease the host. Sometimes they point out an obvious contradiction. And sometimes they simply give such a brutally honest answer that the host has no choice but to laugh. The funniest part is often the reaction afterward. The host may lean back in disbelief. The audience starts cheering. The celebrity sits there with a completely straight face. That contrast can make a simple sentence unforgettable. Of course, not every awkward question produces a perfect comeback. Sometimes it creates complete silence. The host realizes they may have gone too far. The celebrity pauses. The audience waits. And for a few seconds, nobody knows what is going to happen next. That silence can actually be funnier than a joke, because viewers can feel the tension through the screen. Then the celebrity may break the tension with a clever answer, a sarcastic comment, or a laugh. And just like that, the interview is back under control. Another classic situation happens when a celebrity refuses to answer a question directly. The host keeps pushing, hoping to get a surprising confession, but the guest keeps dodging. The more the host pushes, the more creative the answers become. Eventually, the conversation starts feeling like a comedy routine. The host wants information, the celebrity wants to escape, and the audience gets to watch the battle. These moments are particularly entertaining because they reveal the personalities behind the famous names. A celebrity who seems quiet in movies may turn out to have a razor-sharp sense of humor. Someone known for being serious may deliver an unexpectedly funny comeback, and a comedian may completely destroy the host with a response so quick that the audience barely has time to react. But sometimes, the host does not even need a clever question. The host themselves becomes the funniest person in the room, because every once in a while, the person who loses control of the interview is not the celebrity. It is the talk show host. And when the person who is supposed to control the show starts breaking down in laughter, the entire studio can descend into chaos. Talk show hosts are supposed to be the calmest person in the room. They guide the conversation, introduce the guests, keep the audience involved, and make sure the show stays on schedule. But sometimes, the host becomes the funniest part of the entire program. It can start with something tiny. A guest tells a ridiculous story, the audience reacts unexpectedly, or someone makes a joke that catches the host completely off guard. The host laughs, then laughs harder, and suddenly, the person who is supposed to keep everything moving cannot even finish the next sentence. This is when talk show chaos becomes especially entertaining. A host may try to regain control by saying, "Okay, let's move on." But then they look at the guest again. Another laugh. The audience laughs. An entire plan disappears. Some of the funniest moments happen when hosts accidentally make themselves the target of the joke. A celebrity might notice something funny about the host's outfit, pronunciation, reaction, or previous comment. The guest says it. The audience explodes. And the host realizes there is no way to defend themselves without making the situation even funnier. Instead of getting offended, the best hosts know how to play along. They laugh at themselves. They make another joke. And suddenly, what could have been an awkward moment becomes one of the highlights of the interview. Other times, hosts lose control because a guest is simply too unpredictable. Some celebrities answer questions in ways that nobody expects. They tell bizarre stories, imitate other people, reveal embarrassing details, or suddenly start performing something completely unrelated to the conversation. The host tries to keep up, but eventually they give up. They lean back in their chair, start laughing, and let the guest take over. For viewers, that can be even better than a perfectly organized interview, because the host's genuine reaction tells the audience something important. This was not planned. And that is the secret behind many unforgettable talk show moments. The audience want to feel like they are watching something that could never be repeated exactly the same way. A rehearsed joke can be funny, but an unexpected reaction can become legendary. The best hosts understand this. Instead of fighting the chaos, they allow it to happen. They follow the conversation wherever it goes. They give the guest room to be funny. And sometimes they completely forget about the original interview. Of course, not every chaotic moment becomes famous. Some disappear as soon as the show ends, but a few become clips that viewers continue sharing for years. And those are the moments that prove one simple truth. The funniest talk show memories are often the ones nobody planned. From awkward questions to uncontrollable laughter, these unexpected moments have created some of the most memorable scenes in talk show history. And among all of them, a few stand above the rest. Moments so funny, strange, or perfectly timed that fans still remember them long after the cameras stop rolling. Those are the moments we're getting to next. Some talk show moments are funny for a few seconds. Others become part of television history. What makes these moments special is not always the joke itself. Sometimes it is the reaction, the timing, or the fact that nobody knew what was going to happen next. A celebrity walks onto the stage expecting a normal interview. Then something unexpected happens, and suddenly the entire conversation changes. Maybe the host asks a question that gets an unbelievable answer. Maybe a celebrity tells a story so ridiculous that everyone starts laughing. Maybe a surprise guest appears. Or maybe the host simply loses control and cannot stop laughing. These are the moments viewers remember. One reason they survive for so long is that they feel real. A scripted comedy scene can be hilarious, but audiences know the performers are acting. A spontaneous talk show moment is different. The surprise is genuine. The reaction is genuine. And sometimes, even the people on camera do not know what is coming next. That unpredictability has created countless memorable celebrity appearances over the years. There have been interviews where guests accidentally revealed embarrassing stories, moments where celebrities completely forgot what they were supposed to say, and conversations that turn into comedy because a host and guests simply could not stop laughing. Then there are the moments that become famous because of one unforgettable reaction: a celebrity's shocked expression, a host collapsing with laughter, an audience screaming after an unexpected reveal, a guest delivering a perfect comeback. Sometimes, a single facial expression can become more memorable than the entire interview, and that is what makes talk shows such a unique form of entertainment. The best moments are not always the biggest productions. They can come from something incredibly simple. Two people sitting across from each other, a camera rolling, and one completely unexpected sentence. Years later, people may forget what movie the celebrity was promoting or what album they were discussing, but they remember the moment when the interview suddenly went off the rails. They remember the laughter. They remember the awkward silence. They remember the comeback. They remember the look on everyone's face. Most importantly, they remember how the moment made them feel. And perhaps that is why talk shows continue to produce these unforgettable clips. Celebrities may arrive with prepared answers, but nobody can prepare for every possible reaction. Hosts may have a list of questions, but the funniest conversation can begin when they stop following it. And audiences may expect entertainment, but sometimes they get something even better. A completely unexpected moment that could never have been scripted. From awkward interviews and hilarious mistakes to uncontrollable laughter and shocking reactions, these moments remind us that the most entertaining television is sometimes the television that goes wrong. Because when the script disappears, the real fun begins.